Lawson. Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Get on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
There's no human being I'd rather be talking to right now than Dillon Lawson. Fact. I've been trying to get you on the podcast, and I appreciate you coming on. Now that you've settled into your new role, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Assistant hitting coach for the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, very exciting.
All right, yeah. I mean, it was one of these things where last year, first of all, congratulations on all that you've done.
Appreciate it.
The beard.
I know. It's the first time. I've never
kidding
grown a beard
me.
before.
If I could grow a beard like that, I'd be growing it like when I was 13.
I know.
Did you realize that you could grow it like that?
Had no idea.
Really?
In the off season, I've just been growing. It's been like bushy and everything. So I got up here and went to one of the local barbers, and
he did it.
I said, "Give me the Tristan Casas," and he gave it to me.
It is remarkably like Tristan Casas. But did you realize that it was going to be so robust?
I didn't, and I think at an early age I realized that there was probably some red in there.
Yeah,
and maybe that always deterred me.
Yeah.
But now I'm full embrace.
You are. All right. Well, are you gonna keep it?
I think so.
Well,
we'll see how it works in the summer.
Can get human.
I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna see how it works in the summer.
First time. Wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at the new year.
A lot of exciting things.
A lot of exciting things happen.
Yeah.
Let's power rank the exciting things happening in your life. Number 1, beard. Number 2, Celtics sweatshirt. Number 3, assistant hitting coach for the Boston Red Sox.
That's a good order.
Well, let me ask you this. So last year you have a role with the Red Sox. And obviously you had worked your way up to the point where you're the hitting coach for a major league team, the Yankees. We all learned, we all evolved. What is the thing last year that you felt you evolved the most and learned the most?
Well, I mean, being in this organization with just so many other great hitting coaches and hitting minds, that was a huge benefit to me. And it's different because, with the Yankees, I had like the top spot, the leadership role, whether it's hitting coordinator or major league hitting coach, director of hitting, and coming here as a hitting coordinator again, but then having Och and Pete and Rosie and those guys that and being able to work alongside with John Soteropoulos and Harry Roberson, and these guys are incredible. So when you're kind of on your own, and granted, like we had some great hitting coaches with the Yankees too, and they've helped me evolve, but it was a new perspective, not necessarily a new perspective, but or like anything crazy, but yeah, maybe a new perspective that allows you to see something that you've been working on, but maybe just from
also,
the side door instead of the
I would
front.
imagine, like, when you're the head guy, it's hard to take a step back. Like, you're in the grinder, right?
Absolutely. And I think there are certain jobs provide you an opportunity to learn and grow and evolve as a coach, and then other ones are like nobody cares about your
results business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, having been in a results only position for a little bit, going back to the hitting coordinator, allowed to be getting creative again and really focused on the development of some of these future superstars. That was fun.
I do want to get into the creativity, that's just awesome. Like, creativity is a thing that when you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, if I'm creative, it makes my. I mean, it does.
Right.
Like, whereas when you're the head guy, it is cut and dry, man. It's a results business.
For sure.
You score runs. If you didn't score runs, and there's been games in a row you haven't scored runs, hey, what's going on with the hitting coach? Which I think is the dumbest thing of all time, but that's another thing.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So to complain about it,
you're
not going to change it.
Did you feel that? Let me ask you this. So when you're in that position, do you feel that like you thought you would feel it? Because it's awesome when you get the job.
Right.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But then what comes with the job is, well, you don't score runs.
Yeah, there's a real
Yeah.
weight, gravity to it. Like, I mean, a lot of responsibility falling on your shoulders, and part of that is like when things are going good, right? It is the players, and when things are going bad, it's the coach. And these are things that you just, they're really, really talented. I mean, they're in the big leagues because they deserve it, and every day they have the ability, the possibility to go out there and be the superstar. When they're not, you have to look at yourself as a hitting coach going, okay, what am I doing wrong that is not setting them up for success?
I'm not going to say that stinks because it's like you're a hitting, but I'll use this analogy. When I first, because everyone cares about me, right? Like when I first started coaching basketball, right? I was a lunatic.
Right.
Because all of a sudden, I didn't realize I'm controlling 5 guys instead of just myself, right? I'm controlling 5 guys.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, you learn to sort of manage that. But I would imagine you're managing 26 guys. Or not 20, I'm sorry.
You're trying. You're trying to.
Yeah.
But you're also with the group. And,
Yeah.
in New York we had 3 total Major League hitting coaches. Here we have 3. And, how well you work together as a group is really important. And here, Pete, and I don't know how much of a conversation, like how many conversations you've had with him. But
a lot. His brother wants to podcast with us. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Pete's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And then I came up in the Astro system with Ben Rosenthal. So we have a history together. It's they make it really easy. And so I think we all have our strengths, and it goes, whether it's last year in the role that I had or this year, and we all have our strengths, and it's just how we fit together as a team so that way we can help the players as best as we can.
Cliche question, but when you say if you are the guy, like right now Pete Fassey's the guy, right? He's the hitting coach. If you ultimately get that opportunity again, whether it's here or somewhere else, whatever it is, having gone through it once, what is the lessons that you learned?
I mean, I had a lot of time to think about all those lessons. There's a million of them. I think a lot of it depends on the staff that you're with, the players that you're inheriting, the goals and what realistically that team can accomplish, the expectations going into that season. All of that affects it. So each individual team or job or responsibilities, they all present something different. I think, I would try to enjoy it,
It's tough,
and not right. Like
yeah.
I mean, but you do have those responsibilities, and I got into coaching because I love to coach, and never did I think that it would lead to this, especially with my playing background. But once you get here, you want to stay, right? Like, and you realize that the relationships that you're building with the players, that's the most important thing. It is a partnership, and Pete will say that too. It's a partnership. We want it to be this two-way street. Getty will say, like, hey, let me play along too.
Yeah.
And you want that. We had that with New York, but it was if we're just being honest, like, it's a tough first major league job.
Yeah.
There are things I think about this. Like, I have a family. My wife and I, we've got 3 boys, and there are things like you can own a dog, and it will teach you some things about being a parent. But there are just certain things that you don't learn until you're a parent.
Yeah.
And so there were things that I didn't. I had been coaching for. I'm almost going on 20 years.
Yeah.
And there are things that you can coach for 15 years, and then you get your first major league job. There are things that you're just not going to know until you have that job, regardless of how long you've been coaching up to that point. You can own a dog for 15 years, and then you have your first child. There are things that are just going to be different. And so, if you're being the number one, you're the number one guy in charge. Sometimes it's just there aren't positions where there's time for you to learn on the job, and that's the truth of the matter.
Well, especially in New York. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, like you said, that's a tough first one.
But I'm thankful. Like,
yeah.
I'm thankful for the front office and the players, and for all of them giving me that opportunity. And I'm thankful for the continued relationships that we still have. But it's I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for the next chapter. Like I've got my Celtics.
You got your Celtics shirt.
We've changed over out with New York, in with Boston, so we're good.
It is amazing. Like with coaching, I think one of the biggest things with coaching is, and again, because everyone cares about me coaching high school basketball, but you always go in like, all right, this is the plan. This is how I think. My experience shows this. And it almost always changes.
Yeah.
And a baseball season is the ultimate example of that. I mean, you have guys who had track records, who have track records, okay? And then all of a sudden, wait a second, why can't you hit a fastball because they're throwing it 45 straight times? Mm-hmm. Why can't you hit it before? Mm-hmm. It's
you have to have flexibility.
Yeah, which I don't think a lot of coaches understand that, and I think that's the best attribute is what I'm saying is
right
of any baseball major league coach, any coach.
I agree. I think that sometimes you can describe someone as like a chameleon, and it comes off as maybe as a knock on somebody. But I do think as like a hitting coach, you have to be a chameleon, especially at the highest levels where you're getting players from different backgrounds who may think about hitting in a different way, and you've got to be able to meet those players where they're at. You can't just expect them to just adopt your style, your language. You've got to be able to go to them, and you've got to be able to learn and understand and make sense of it, so that way you can help them, and you've got to be able to help them quickly because it is results-based.
Yeah. And so before I get to sort of some of the things that you're excited about the Red Sox, about the way they're doing things and everything else, I'm going to ask, I said the cliche question. This is the ultimate cliche question. I apologize. What makes Aaron Judge so special as a hitter, besides being big and strong? And
I would have gone there.
Big and strong. But I just saw
the list is long.
I just saw a video of him doing like his Twitch thing, like whatever. I don't know. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this. But what are some of the things that are unique about him? Because before you answer that, I know with Mookie Betts talking with like Aaron Bates, who's the assistant hitting coach of the Dodgers, about how in the middle of the night Mookie will be, let's go to the cage. I don't feel right about this or that or this. This is Mookie Betts.
Right.
So what? Give me your perspective of Aaron Judge.
Well, Aaron first and foremost is an incredible person, and I think it's very genuine. He's a pro's pro. That I could go on and on about that. Yes, he's big. Yes, he's really strong. He cares a ton. He's super convicted, and that honestly, that'll take you a really, really long way. I think that when you're that big, when you're that strong, you can obviously swing really fast, and on top of that, he controls the zone. And so, imagine being on the mound. And you're looking at home plate, and he's in the box, and you see home plate, and there's nobody that. He has to make home plate look so small. You, as a pitcher, you just have to be. Where am I going to throw this? So that now you add that dimension into it, and the pressure of making a mistake to a hitter like that. Devers, Duran. It can be pretty daunting as a pitcher, those are my favorite kind of hitters.
But I would imagine as a hitting coach, we all know that. I've asked pitchers this. I've literally asked pitchers, what's it like to be on the mound with Aaron Judge up? Because it's exactly what you said. But he's probably my elbow is a little off. Or dude, don't worry about it.
I think the best hitters in this game, they find a way to still perform and get results, even when they know their swing is off or they're not seeing it quite as well. They have the ability to still go out there and go 1 for 4 or draw a walk or two. They're able to compartmentalize and play great defense, run the bases right. I mean, that's what we look at the best players and they're consistent. They're consistently good, and sometimes that doesn't mean that the swing and the results at the plate are consistently good. I mean, but their performances and they're bringing value every night, and so I think that's something that does separate him, but a lot of the top guys across the league.
And I look even like Stanton when he got on his run, right? It's like there's a lot of moving parts. So it's when you're big, it's a blessing and a curse, a little bit, right? But when you lock in those moving parts,
watch out.
Watch out.
Yeah, watch out.
The hitting coach, you're like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you look at, let's go to the Red Sox. So we're going through the organization last year. Like you said, you got to take a step back and be creative. There's a lot of influence, a lot of driveline people have come in, which is an intriguing part of it. What are some of the things that you got excited about the creativity? Maybe it's technology, maybe it's, I don't know, something you learned. What is some of the things that you got excited about?
I mean, I've done work with Driveline, and they, we've done presentations together. We've known Jason Ochart for years, and so I'm really lucky that he was willing to bring me in and have me be a part of the player development, the hitting staff there. But with regards to like the drive line, like they've been super successful. Of course, I'm excited about it. And as I'm aging, you get help from Kyle Bodie, and he's talking about AI and automating this, and you're just like, whoa, like, okay, so it keeps you young.
Yeah.
And you're on the cutting edge.
There's two ways to look at it. There's the looking at it, it's keeping me young. This is awesome. I'm waking up and learning something new.
Or it's making me old.
Or I'm yelling at the clouds.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
see ball, hit ball.
Yeah, but I think that there's, right, like just because you have technology doesn't mean it's more complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, we do talk about this often. Just because the coaches or the front office, the analysts, like just because we have more information doesn't mean you have to take all of that information to the players. You find what works for players, and some guys will ask why or how until they're blue in the face, and so having all that information is helpful for players who really want to dig deep. Other guys,
they don't want.
I mean, they want the most simple answer. Period. What do I need to do right now in order to go out there and perform or to be better at this? And that's the flexibility in the coaching, the chameleon that you need to be. Yeah. You've got to be able to wear different hats. You've got to be able to speak different languages, not English and Spanish, but different hitting languages.
Oh, sure.
Right? So it's been great. I mean, I think when you look at, you go back to the results and you look at change from just like 23 to 24.
Yeah.
And there was a lot written about the Red Sox and the prospects, and rightfully so. Across the board, Boston was top 3 in improving exit velocity, top 3 in improving contact rate, top 3 in reducing chase. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive.
All
last year.
Yeah.
And so it's like I couldn't ask for anything more than to be here.
So I remember talking to Brian Abraham about technology. We were doing a technology thing, and he said, "Oh well, and I should have come more prepared, but the soft baseballs, right? Mm-hmm. Using those.
Yeah,
it seems like a simple thing, but it's getting the right feel. Explain those to me, like for instance, like when you're using Trajekt, you don't use just regular baseballs, right?
I mean, you can use regular baseballs. I mean, Trajekt. Like, if we're just being honest, Trajekt it's really difficult.
So it costs a lot. It's really difficult.
It's really difficult, and I think people who maybe like don't. This is across like the industry, not like a player, who may question it. Well, it's not the real thing. I get it, but neither is a hack attack, and we still use hack attacks.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get closer, and one. Hitting is always going to be difficult, but one of the other things that makes it even more difficult is that rarely do you actually practice hitting
like an actual
in its
game.
entirety, like it is in a game. It's like baking without measuring without measuring spoons. You know all the right ingredients, and you're just hoping that, like, okay, I hope I got enough flour, or enough butter, or enough sugar, and chocolate chips, and you're trying to make the world's best chocolate chip cookie, and you don't have measuring spoons. Like, that's tough. So with the Trajekt, better is better, and it does get us closer. And yes, there are differences between Trajekt and in the game, but you do have to dial up. Like, emotionally, you've got to get to a committed place, because if you want to kind of halfway, go in, tiptoe in, it's going to blow you up. So one thing that we can do is we can use balls that are a little bit softer to, reduce the pain of Trajekt, and then get guys on it more guys on it more often. And so now you're training a little bit closer to that, currently as close to game-like as we can. And, obviously here in Boston, we love it. And
you're the only organization with 3 Trajekt machines.
Well, we're really lucky. I mean,
the only one in AAA. I mean, last year, I think.
I don't know that that's correct.
I don't know. That's what. I don't know. Let's just run with
it. Let's run with it, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough to have one, and we make sure that we use it.
Yeah.
And it's not that we neglect anything before that. We do. We break the swing down. We break, decision making down, or in any of those aspects that maybe would be a little bit more traditional, or things that you do see, things that don't cost as much. We still do all of that, but then we lead it up, and whether you're trying to build skill on Trajekt, or it's just pure kind of game prep, there is a lot of value in it. And we use the softballs to encourage usage, and then there are other lighter balls or dimpled balls that we can use even with the hack attack that you wouldn't use with Trajekt, but you can get different shapes of pitches that, like, if I'm throwing as a coach and as a formerly very poor player that is now a coach, I can't get major league shapes, but there are different ways, if we are being creative, that we can get major league shapes, something that's a little bit more game-like, or what they're about to go out there and see, and so that way they can take whatever thought or feeling that they want to have, because everyone's got their own individual thoughts and feels, and so, but you're giving them a way to test it. They might say, okay, they read the game report and they're thinking, okay, this is the plan. Well, now you get to step in against different machines and test that out before you go out there, and you might be, okay, well, I don't need to do that. Maybe I don't need to respect. I thought the slider was going to be like this, but I see it, and I don't have to respect it quite as much. I'm going to take this route, and so that's pretty damn valuable.
That is an evolution, and they also implementing it the right way. And you had talked about jumps that were taken in the last year. The priority of a stat, right? I think I saw this somewhere, where it was the priority of, and maybe this is, you tell me, was it WX WOBA? What? Give me the stat. You feel like that maybe
you got the letters in the wrong order, but it's okay. They're all there.
XW WOBA.
Yeah, there you go.
Did I say WX?
Well, you said W WOBA.
No, I said W.
You don't need to do.
I threw an X.
That's like.
Do I put an X in there?
That's like a double negative. You don't need to do that. X WOBA.
Is it X WOBA? I thought there was another.
Easy.
I thought there was another letter in there.
No, Oh, in your mind, yes.
No, they're always adding letters every
know.
year.
I understand.
You know that they
I understand.
are.
I understand.
I feel like I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. All right. So is that the be all? Is that not the be all? I'm sorry. There's no be all end all.
Correct.
As they said in Zero Dark's 30, I know that certainty freaks you the fuck out. So, but is that at the top of the list? Stats, you think?
Certain places, certain times, for sure. Depends on what you're trying to learn from the numbers.
Well, what do you go? What do you go to first?
I think that's a fine place to start.
Okay.
But the real thing is like you don't coach at that level. You coach like levels below that.
Yeah.
And so you might look at WOBA, ex-WOBA, OPS, expected OPS.
I swear there's still another letter in there.
Or like, I think like a lot of public, right? You're looking at, WRC plus, now that's where you're getting some more letters and things like that. But
there's a sign, there's a symbol in there. Yeah,
absolutely. But you don't coach at that level. You have to strip it back and be able to figure out, okay, is the performance what we want? You're always starting with what's happening on the field.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you like the swing or you don't like the swing. If it produces, we like what's happening.
Yeah, you hit the ball hard, let's go.
Yeah, and you're helping the team score runs, whether you're
controlling the strike zone.
Whether you're driving the runs in or you're the one on base and you're scoring the runs, like that's ultimately what we're trying to
runs
get to.
Runs are the most important stat.
Wins, if you're predicting, if you're trying to figure out how to get more wins
for a hitting coach, wins.
It still wins. Still wins. This is something I've learned this part of it, but you have to be able to articulate that, like, what we're trying to win games.
Yeah.
And then, in order, as a hitting coach, our part in this is to score as many runs as possible every single night. And then, but it's like, okay, well, how do you score more runs? And each team does it differently. Like, some guys are gonna hit home runs and walk and strike out, and other teams are gonna be, or players, just depending on how it's structured up and down the lineup. But other guys might be more singles and be able to steal bases. At the end of the day, you still have to score runs. You still have to try to help your team win games. So where we're coaching, it's more at the more granular level, where it's like, okay, can we help you swing? Do you need to swing the bat faster? Okay, yes or no, and then we've got ways to help you if you do need to swing the bat faster. Do you need to make more contact? Yes or no, and then we've got ways to help you make more contact. Do you need to chase less or swing it, pitches right down the middle more often? Yes or no? Okay, this is how we can help you with that. And so, when you have coaches coming from different backgrounds, what you're really looking for is you're looking for a level of expertise, because you need to be able to have answers to all of those things, yes or no, right? You got to be able to have ways to help players when the answer is no and they need to improve. And so when you have a group of guys, and this is what we're really lucky to have, is we've got a group of guys both in the major leagues and in the minor leagues that can help players across the board, especially us working as a team.
Wins.
You've
been very generous with your time. I could go through a bunch of players. I'm going to just finish by asking you about one.
Okay.
Not a major league player, like maybe a guy you worked with, is Kristian Campbell. And so I literally just get off a podcast with somebody else, not my podcast, but spreading the good word, and someone who saw Kristian Campbell play a lot last year, long-time scout, former GM, and he said, he's good, obviously a very good player, but unorthodox. Like, that's how he said, unorthodox, which always intrigues me. And as a hitting coach, that must intrigue you.
Right.
So obviously, as someone who does the radio broadcast for spring training games, I get a chance to see these guys a lot.
Right.
This is selfish. I'm workshopping like the Kristian Campbell analysis. So talk to me when they say unorthodox. What is that like? Explain to me Kristian Campbell as a hitter.
The things that are most obvious about hitters are how they stride, or what their stride looks like, or their setup position, or their hands and these things. And I'm not saying that none of that matters, but the further away you get from like the middle of the body, the more style or personality maybe
panache,
a hitter can have.
Yeah.
And it's really easy. I think what we tend to talk about are the things that make hitters different, because what makes them different, that is the thing that's like we notice those things, like, oh, his hands are way up there, and that's different. It's or he strides really close, or this guy strides open, and those are easily noticed, so we talk about it. But there are a lot of things that make him quite similar to some of the best hitters, and those aren't as noticeable. But if you look at like how the middle of the body works to produce force, to transfer force, looking at how the bat path works, like how the bat moves to the zone to help with contact rates, to help with ball flight, those are they're still there for us to see and for us to talk about, but they're just usually not the things that we talk about. And Kristian's got a style that does make him unique.
Yeah.
But it's there's plenty of things that that line him up right with the game's best.
It's just like every time you see a guy with his hands way up in the air, it's like, well, his hands are going to end up in the same place, right?
Right.
Like Mookie or whoever it is, and also like hand-eye, something as simple as hand-eye coordination.
I know.
Right? I mean,
Right.
Pedroia, everyone, you want to know why Pedroia hit high fastballs? He had insane hand-eye coordination.
Right.
Right? So maybe that's another thing. I don't know.
And probably the things that we do talk about most are the things that we see the most easily. The next thing in line is what we can measure, which then further down the line you're talking about hand-eye coordination and how you see pitches and when you're making decisions. And we just don't have the ability to measure that at the same detailed level as we can with pitchers and pitch design. And
you know how you measure it? You play ping pong with a guy.
That's
right.
I don't know if that's like research confirmed.
No, I'm
However,
telling you,
I agree with you. Like usually if you're in the clubhouse and
who's the best ping pong player you've ever seen in the clubhouse?
I don't know if it's there are a couple guys come to mind, and I don't know that this is correct, but like Chase Mydroth, a guy that was with us with the Yankees, Kyle Holder.
Okay.
I know that they always whoop my ass, so maybe that's the thing that stands out the most.
I'm bringing new school and old school together.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.